Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Social Media and Local Search, episode 108. Each week we meet here to talk about the topics that are raised in the Social Media Fridays community on Google+, or I think it's just Social Media and Local Search. With us tonight we have Edwin Jonk. Edwin is CEO of IDESTHOST in the Netherlands. You can find Edwin at idesthost.nl. Masataki Wasa is webmaster of wasaweb.net. He's also a Google Top contributor on the AdSense community. You can find Masataki at wasaweb.net. Rob Mars is an AdWords aficionado. He hails from the Netherlands. He's also a Google Top contributor on the Webmasters and AdWords in the Dutch language. And yeah, okay. You can find Rob at marketbiz.nl, marketbiz.nl. And I don't need to read out onlineownership.com, but Tim Capper is CEO of Online Ownership, and he's also a Google Top contributor on the Google My Business community. Our first topic tonight is titled Gamergate Continue. It's a question on trolling on Twitter and the cancellation of the account of a well-known Twitter troll. Edwin posted this one. No Putin joke this week. No, I didn't have one. Yeah, Edwin posted this one, and I'll throw it open to Edwin.
Well, there's a problem on Twitter. Basically, Twitter is slow to respond to this particular story. What happened was that basically, what's her name? Leslie Jones was abused on Twitter quite heavily, and the abuse was against the terms and services of Twitter. However, Twitter doesn't respond that quickly. For example, it takes 24 hours for them to verify that the tweet was sent and that that particular user should be banned. What users do, they tweet, and after an hour they delete the tweet, and then the one that is complaining gets the message from Twitter that they were not able to take action on the account, given that we could not determine a clear violation of the Twitter rules. So that's basically the story.
Yeah, well, actually cancelling an account, that's something new for Twitter, isn't it? I mean, cancelling an account altogether?
Well, deleting the account. I think the woman...
Well, don't they do that for ISIS accounts and things like that? And they delete those? You know, Twitter accounts related to terrorist organizations, for example. I think Twitter does delete those.
Oh, I thought that Jessie Jones deleted her account, that was new, that celebrities deleted their accounts.
Yeah. In this case, it was, what was his name? Milo Yiannopoulos, wasn't it? And I think, I haven't really followed this too closely, but it does seem to be the case that it's not necessarily what he said, but what he did, in that he had encouraged others to be abusive online. I think that seems to have been the distinction that they made.
Yeah, there was a message on BuzzFeed, and that goes more in in the specifics of Milo. It's not the first time he did this.
Yeah, I mean that's his, in a sense, that's his persona.
Yeah.
That's his character.
I think he was active during the Gamergate, and that woman from Horror Story, what's her name? Well-known show from HBO. It's so hard. Names from celebrities that you don't watch.
Yeah, I think he stands for sort of the, if you like, the absolutist view of freedom of speech, which is, I think, one argument that you can pursue. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it certainly has, if you like, internal coherence, saying that you should be free to express whatever you wish. But I think in this instance, it seems to be the case that he had implicit or explicitly encouraged others to be abusive, and to the extent that the recipient feels threatened almost physically. I think that's where the line is drawn, because that would be criminal in most countries. I'm not so sure about in the particular jurisdiction, but in many countries it would be, illegal to actually threaten people or encourage others to do so.
Yeah, and for sure it was against the terms and service of Twitter.
Yeah, except that Twitter really hasn't explained why it took the decision. They couched it in a very general terms. I think if it said, "Look, this is a particular, these instances fall against these particular rules, Twitter rules," then
yeah,
it
and they are really slow to respond, right?
Yeah, I think of the social media platforms that I use, some very lightly, Twitter, I think, is the least responsive in terms of removing things.
And the problem with these things is that there's a well-meant comments from a lot of people that don't feed the trolls, just ignore them. But if it becomes so huge and so frequently, then sometimes you have to say, as a person, right? In this case, Leslie Jones. Well, I need to delete my Twitter account because I cannot take that abusement all day, every day.
Yeah. Why should anyone? And I think that's the problem for Twitter, because if they allow trolls to be trolls, then more and more people will leave. They say, "No, I'm not going to have anything to do with Twitter. I'm out."
Yeah, I think you can mute people.
Yeah, you can block people. You can mute people.
Because they all add mentioner, right? And all those trolls have a lot of accounts. And
exactly. And creating accounts on Twitter is extremely easy. I mean, people can just create. I mean, it's true for many other social media platforms, let's be honest about it. But I think Twitter, is, because of its sort of brevity and immediacy, I think it's far easier to create accounts, send out abusive Twitter, and then be done with it. So, yeah. So for people, go.
And there's also no way to filter those notifications, I think. For Facebook, there are special apps for celebrities.
Yeah. So, if you say don't feed the trolls, so you might just say, I'm not going to be in the same playing ground with the trolls. People will leave Twitter. And obviously that's bad news for Twitter, because then you might end up with just trolls and spammers. And that's not great. Yet on the other hand, if Twitter cracks down too much, then it would be accused of restricting the freedom of speech. So it's always a difficult balancing act. I think, that's true for any media, whether it's social media, or whether it's the newspaper sites with comment sections, things like that. So it's not an easy balance to strike. But Twitter, I think, really has to make sure that they are doing, they have to, if you like, command the confidence of its users.
Well, there's one thing that's nice about Milo is that he is using his own name.
Yeah, no. I think
he does have the guts to speak out, right? Most of those trolls are blue heads and really annoying.
Yeah,
he's also really annoying.
Yeah, but he's in a sense he's a true believer in that sense that he believes in what he says and he does what he what he preaches, if you like. So, again, I don't agree with him or his views, but his arguments are internally coherent, I think, and it's one opinion that should exist as a range of opinions that we have about these things. So, to that extent, I think, yeah, respect might not be exactly the right word, but I do appreciate him doing that. That he's using his own name and he's putting out and pushing out what he believes in. I think that's what would the right, that is the done thing, if you like.
Yeah, one of his responses is a quote. Twitter is holding me responsible for actions of fans and trolls using the special pleasure logic of the left. Where are the Twitter police when Justin Bieber fans cut themselves on his behalf? That's one of his responsive I don't know. It doesn't seem like someone I would have tea with or drink a beer. Or, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, maybe not, but I think at least he is consistent in what he says and he does what he believes in. I think he's wrong, and I disagree with his views, but at least that's something that we can say. Well, yeah, he's doing what he believes in.
Yes. I was being called. I don't know by whom.
I think it's Tim Capper. He said, "Can you guys see my comments?"
Well, I see a comment in the chat.
Well, he's dropping in and out.
Okay, we can see you no, you dropped out again, Tim. Oh yeah, we can see I can see his comment now. I can see your comment now, Tim. It says computer effect. Is that sort of some sort of special effect? Is that what it means?
Shall we host a new one, or do we want to continue, Jim?
What's Tim saying? I'll just check that, and then we'll go to the next one. Tim said he can't hear anything. He wants to know what's going on. I don't know. Although the last couple of weeks it's been a little bit problematic, hasn't it?
Oh, that's the isn't that the permanent state of Hangouts?
Well, we had a long period of everything being great, and in fact, on the dumbseoquestions.com site, we have this feedback form which has various things like IC static or clip did not load or whatever. And for about 7 months, it was there was just nothing. There were just no reports of any difficulties. Now, if I have a look at tonight's, let me see. Oh well, the last one was on the 22nd. So it might be letting up, but it was sort of happening every day. There was 4 reports on the 21st, 1 on the 22nd, 2 on the 22nd. Anyway, it's it goes in fits and starts, doesn't it? Okay. All right. Let's. Will we call this one covered and move on to the next?
Sure.
Yep. Okay. Now I didn't check this one, but the title was "The New Zealand Parliament Must Be Populated by People Born Before the Rise of the Internet." Under the new system, trolls who mass dox or denial of service attack a victim could make all of her online presence disappear with impunity and face no penalties at all. It's more. It's a little like the other one, isn't it?
I think we discussed this, but I'm not sure.
Well, this one was on the list for last week, but we didn't get started last week.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, what will happen is that the victim will not, or the trolls will use this system to troll the victim, right? And if the victim then says, "Well, there's nothing wrong here," so she basically counterclaims, then her troll gets her full address, and I think also the ISP, maybe even an IP. I'm not sure, but at least they get more personal information about basically the target, right? Which they can use to send pizzas or other nasty things that trolls like to do. And for some reason, nobody in the New Zealand Parliament figured out that this was actually good for the trolls. And there's also no penalty, according to the article, if you abuse the procedure, right?
Unfortunately, I haven't read up on this one, so I'm not sure.
I hope the article is wrong.
I'm not sure how denial of service attack is part of it.
No.
Yeah, that's a bit puzzling, isn't it? Because the idea is that if you are being harassed, trolled, then you make a claim, then you have to reveal your details as part of that claim. Right? So then the troll or the abuser will be notified of that, and the abuser, the troll, whoever it is doing the nasty thing, gets hold of the information of the victim, as it were, more information. So they might get to know the home address and telephone number or something like that, which the troll abuser might not have had before.
Mm-hmm.
But because if you make that claim, you have to make public those details, or at least you have to notify those details to the other party. The other party gets to see those information. That's how I understood the issue.
Yeah. I never understand trolls, what they get out of it, you know. I just don't get it.
Well, some people just like to hurt other people.
Oh, I do that, but I don't understand trolls.
It's just one format, you know. People can be very cruel to one another.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to record this one as covered. This is one that really makes me sad. A Pakistani social media celebrity, Quandil Balok, has been killed by her brother in an apparent honour killing. You know, this I really don't understand. This is just you know, it's just, you know, I mean, if I saw Quandil's brother, I would spit on him. It's just the most ridiculous thing that it's misogynistic to the nth degree. It's feudal. It's Neanderthal behaviour. You know, I just have to say to her brother, you know, you goose. You know, I mean, how could you hurt? It's just insane. You know, I mean, just insane. The savages. Is there anything that can be said good about these people to do this sort of thing?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it is really horrible what's happening in, you know, not only Pakistan, but we've seen over the past few years how bloggers have been targeted in Bangladesh. We had an attack in restaurants in Dhaka in Bangladesh, but there has been a lot of intimidation and also deaths in Bangladesh.
Well, closer to home too, Masataki. In the UK, there's been a spate of honour killings, or so-called honour killings. I mean, I don't know how what form of twisted logic they get around and call this an honour killing. There's no honour about it. It's just an absolute affront to humanity.
It is, it's frankly stupid, isn't it? And it is, you just don't know. You can't just understand this because it's, you know, how. No. I mean, you try to not rationalize it, but you try to see how the system works, what the thought process behind is, and you just think it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are several issues associated with. Essentially, it's, you know, it's misogynistic and it's patriarchy, a patriarchal system, and yeah, there's no place for that in the 21st century. Anyway.
No. Well, there never was a place for it in whatever year, but you know, yeah, Quandil's brother, you are scum, mate. You are the lowest of the low. Anyway, let's forget about Quandil's brother and move on to something nicer. This one, I'd like to know what this says about the UK, USA, and Canada, but they did some work on the use of emojis in around the world, and they found that the most often used emoji is the upside down smiley face in the UK, the USA, and Canada. Now, I get the UK one because, you know, I mean, we have a thing over here in Australia. It's the whinging pom syndrome, you know, I mean, the Englishman is never happier. Well, of course, that's racist of me to generalise. Well, actually, I'm looking at this graph, and it shows that the population of England is happier when they're frowning. You want to defend your country, Masataki?
Yeah. Well, that should be Tim's job, not mine.
Well, he's a South African. So,
you know, I mean, yeah, people like to complain about things here. You know, having a good moan is a good sport here, so there might be that element of it. And you know, if the weather's too nice, it's too hot. If it's grey, it's too grey. You know, if you can find someone complaining about the weather, whatever the weather. And then you look outside, and you know, if you're on a train, it's always delayed. So you're not going to be happy. But,
well, I mean, I guess the English are entitled to whinge about the weather. It's pretty bad. I was in England one day for the whole of summer.
But you know, looking at the graph, I thought Canadians should be they should be happier. You know, why are the Canadians unhappy?
Well, because they've been stuck next to the Americans. You know, I mean, you'd be unhappy too. What did they do in Holland? Let me see. In the Netherlands. Oh, you guys don't get a Guernsey.
No, there's no emoji for complaining about complaining, Jim.
Where's that marijuana emoji?
Is my old eyesight reading this right? But South Africa is clapping hands. Is that what that is?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
That's Tim Kappa. Oh, he'd probably claim dual citizenship, of course, but I don't think Russia got a Guernsey either.
Yeah, are they allowed to use emojis?
Apparently not.
Only the one with Putin's face. Well, South Korea has a kiss.
I was going to say South Korea. I might go there.
Yeah, we get kisses from South Korea then. That's great.
In Saudi Arabia, I mean, they've got a heart. I mean, they'll chop your head off as soon as you look at you.
Yeah, but it is a blue heart. There's a difference, no, between blue and... What is a blue heart in emoji? Does anybody know?
Well, Australians are feeling good about themselves.
Yeah, thumbs up. She'll be right, mate. And France is love. Well, that's fair enough.
And in South America, everyone's listening to music.
Yeah. What's that one for India? Is that praying, is it?
Yeah, I think so. Same with Mexico.
So according to Urban Dictionary, the blue heart emoji is used for friends or people you barely know, well enough to give a red heart emoji to. So,
Ooh, I learned new things.
yeah. That's the blue heart. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Indonesia's the full colon capital D.
Yeah. I always wonder which one's happier, the the Turkish one or the Indonesian, Philippines one. Because
Hmm.
the ones for Philippines and Indonesia, they look like a huge grin rather than a big smile, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And you're quite right. And I used to have 5 employees in Indonesia, and it is a you've got to wonder about the intent to try to translate, because the translation doesn't go across the divide. All right. Well,
Grimacing is that icon from
which
Indonesia
one?
and the Philippines. Grimacing. So
Is it
that's not
grimacing?
smiling.
Is it grimacing? Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. I didn't know that either. Learning new things, more things.
Well, this in the article.
Oh, oh, I'm not going to read. So I'm not going to read a Daily Mail.
Well, there are some interesting pictures.
Well, let's call that one done and move on. Oh, this is a sorry business. It seems like social media has been used for underhand purposes. Hands up who thinks that this coup that took place was real.
I really don't know.
No, I don't know either. But
The
I
interesting,
suspect. You go on, please, Edwin.
the interesting thing is that today WhatsApp chat was made public about the coup takers. So they used WhatsApp, which is quite interesting, in a group session, and then the officers could share information.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because Turkey has had sort of weird relationship with social media platforms because there have been restrictions, haven't there,
Yeah.
on social media platforms, and Erdogan has been, if you like, at the forefront of that, and he managed to essentially broadcast um, his views via social media. Because when a coup happens, what happens is they go for the TV station, the radio station, airports, the big important things. So the idea is to control the message. So the army will march into the TV studio. There will be some general with big, huge number of medals in uniform, telling why it's been done and people shouldn't panic, etc., etc., etc. That's how coups used to work. But now it's not, because the whole media can be circumvented by social media.
Yeah, and there was also a lot of social media activity from not only from President Erdogan, but also from his followers, and so the whole social thing was quite large. And it's scary at the same time, right? He did ask the people of Turkey to go on the streets and basically face the military, which can go wrong.
Yeah, and of course, Erdogan must remember that if he can use it, others can use it too. So let's say in a hypothetical situation, there's another coup, and this time the coup instigators are much better organized. For argument's sake, let's say that. And they get the message out in social media. And Erdogan might not be in a position to shut it down. Then it's going to be interesting. Because if one party can use it, the other party can use it too. It's not, in that sense, the social media platforms aren't siding with one or the other.
Well, I think Erdogan has a different point of view. I think Erdogan thinks that social media is for him and his party, and not for the opposites.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit of a problem in Turkey.
A little bit. Yeah.
I'm not planning a holiday to Turkey soon, but who knows, right? It's a beautiful country. That's for sure.
It definitely is. But you look at what's happening and you think, ooh, dear.
Yeah, and also here in the Netherlands there were some fires, and if you talk to Turkish people about their president, they are quite sensitive to it.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Pokemon Go, Jim?
Well, look, there's an interesting story that just popped up onto the airwaves.
Yeah,
You might
the
like to
shares
have a look
go.
at it. The shares went up. This is about the shares dropping down, 6 billion down.
Yeah, but I think their stock prices went through the roof. And they're not making enough revenue to support the new stock price, right?
No, the article says that when investors realised that they didn't actually own Pokemon Go, that they are invested in it, but not. It's actually owned by three shareholders. Nintendo is one of them. The other one is Niantic, which is a Google company, and the other one is it's called the Pokemon Company. But yeah, they've dumped the shares dropped off. I'm just showing me, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, if you set it to 3 months, then you see a huge peak there. So personally, I wasn't that surprised. Because they need a revenue stream, right? Of course, you have to buy the game, but they're also planning for shops to have a Pokemon thing, or
Yeah, and Niantic are the people who created Ingress, right?
That's right, they are. And of course, most of the features of Pokemon Go, oddly enough, are Ingress.
Yeah, in a sense, the ideas are similar. It's just that the question is whether you are capturing monsters or what do they call it, portals? I can't remember. I haven't played Ingress and I haven't played Pokemon Go, so I have absolutely no idea what you do. And I don't see the point of it, but then that's because I'm getting old.
How old are you now, Mr. Tucky?
I'm 37.
37.
Yes.
I would kill to be 37.
and it didn't launch in Japan, or
It launched later. It launched a few days ago, I think.
because Pokemon is quite popular in Japan, no?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's popular worldwide. It's
Yeah.
It's one of those exports that really has made it.
Anyway, getting back to this article on Erdogan, I think there was a lot of rumblings about his corruption and the amount of money he'd sucked out of Turkey for his personal use. And I think that this coup attempt is an attempt to divert attention. I mean, nobody's going to talk about possible corruption from Erdogan now. So I think, he's just checkmated. Rob Mars, you happy to reach 37 soon? I think you just got the numbers the wrong way around, Rob. Yes, but I think a lot of skullduggery going on in Turkey, and I'm just so glad that I don't live there. How many countries have I criticised so far tonight?
Quite a few, I think. Including New Zealand, your closest neighbor.
Yeah, and then the UK with the emoji, then Canada with the emoji. You did like Korea, by the way.
Yeah. That sort of equals things out, doesn't it?
And there was also something about South Africa, no? I lost count, Jim.
All right, let's forget about Erdogan, and we're at that time again. Thank you for watching. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. But for now, it's good night. Unless, of course, you guys have something else to add. Recording that